Good evening. It's the Jon Gaunt Show. Loads to talk about tonight. It's Can Starmer Survive? Let's get straight into it. Start giving me your comments. It's been a quite historic day with the Chagas Isles as well. So I'm asking the question. Millions of you are probably now shouting at your screens or at your radios. Can Keir Starmer survive? 10 months ago, he led Labour to a historic landslide. But now, oh dear, he's one of the most unpopular prime ministers in modern British history. So how does that even happen? Stay tuned right to the end of the show, because I am going to talk about the three mysterious Ukrainians, why we don't really know much about his marital status, and why is he keeping that from us? What on earth is going on? And why are the media not investigating, the mainstream media, investigating that more? Why is he being protected? But anyway, that means we are talking scandals, broken promises, and a growing feeling that he's just not one of us. You know, we could talk about the free suits, we could talk about the Taylor Swift tickets, anything you fancy. Nothing is off limits, but please be sensible. So let's talk about the free suits, the Taylor Swift tickets, the £2.5 glasses off Lord Ali. Ooh, suits you, sir. While pensioners are freezing and the fuel allowance was slashed. Although mainly I'm inspired to do this again tonight because he is doing a U-turn on that. More details coming out about it now, but the man is in a corner. He's on the ropes. But I got taught a long time ago in tabloid journalism, when you've got them on the ropes, you don't stop. You keep punching them in the face until they fall to the floor. Starmer is on the last rites of his premiership. And then Angela Rayner, what do you make of her? She's making a push for power. She could be our next prime minister. Stop sniggering at the back. And then let's talk. No, don't get me started. This so-called EU surrender deal. How about the early release schemes for violent criminals? They're going to let out rapists and muggers and downright dogs. But Lucy Connolly is still in prison, and so's Tommy Robinson. How does that work, Sir Keir? From Southport to the Red Wall, from the crime wave to the silence over the alleged triple arson attack, this is a prime minister under fire. But hang on, I want to be a little bit fair. Is it all his fault? Could he turn it round? Or has Reform UK, Farage, and the people of Britain, me and you, already moved on? Now, remember, this is a live show. We're live, we're uncensored. I do want to hear your voice. Smash that like button tonight. Share this stream now. Tell people where you're watching it and tell me in the live chat what you think. Here's a couple of questions just to get you started. Do you trust Keir Starmer? Is he finished? Is he finished? Or can he bounce back? He thinks he's going to bounce back. What do you think? I want to hear from you. Oh dear, that AI picture of me is dreadful, isn't it? I do apologize. There's Starmer. He's looking worried. And today, not content with basically betraying us all on the EU surrender deal, he's now betrayed the Chagas Isles as well, giving it away to Mauritius even. And my mate's on holiday there at the moment. I wonder if they're having a celebratory party. I should get him on the blower. But he's also now going to pay him, was it 19 million a year in rent to keep the airbase? That's a good deal. He can't negotiate his way out of a recycled paper bag. Neil Pye, I used to listen to John on local radio at work, and I'm glad he's not changed. Well, I think I've improved, but thank you very much indeed. Tell all your mates I'm here. Phil Bilton, Starmer is a compulsive, complicit liar. Corrupt, he says. Corrupt liar. If you want to have your say, get it through to me now. I'm just looking at my phone because I'll tell you what I have got on here. I did a poll just recently, just an hour or so ago, because I've been coming back from Oxford. 278 votes. Do you trust Keir Starmer? Yes, he's a decent man, 4%. No, he's a liar, 96%. And we've had 278 votes so far. You can do that as well if you want. Evening John, says Dark Angel on YouTube. There she is. You get your name on the screen if you get in contact. Smash that like button. I'm asking you, do you trust him? Can he turn it around? And what's this about his personal life? This arson thing. What's behind that? We'll talk about that towards the end of the show so that we don't get completely diverted. Whatever you want to say it now on the Jon Gaunt show. It's as simple as that. So Keir Starmer, let's get straight into it. He's the man who promised integrity, decency, and change. Remember, it was all going to be about change. But he's now facing collapsing approval ratings, massive backlash over scandals, and I think a growing fury from the very voters who put him in power, the people in the so-called Red Wall, the rest of them. Tonight, I'm going to lay it all out. The scandals, the silence, the disconnect from working class Britain, what he calls the working people. He's not working class. He's the son of a toolmaker, and his dad made him a right tool. And we're going to say and ask about, will Reform and Farage be able to pick up the pieces? I believe Starmer is finished. What do you think? Hit the like button. Share this stream now. But most importantly, drop your comments in the chat at the bottom, because I don't want it just to be a rant. This is a live, national, dare I even say it, international debate. You can join in from anywhere in the world. We had somebody on from Sydney in Australia. My mate Dave in Mauritius. Maybe he's lying on the beach. Maybe he'll give us a note or something. So where do we start? We talk about that massive landslide victory, and it was huge. But you know what? At the time, I can remember when Tony Blair got voted in, it really felt, I voted for him the first time, I'm going to be straight with you. It really felt as if the whole world was going to change, didn't it? It didn't feel like that when Starmer got in. It was a lackluster affair. It was like Gordon Brown without the charisma. I didn't vote for him, by the way. I think he got voted in because he was the least worst option. But he thinks he's the bee's knees. If he was made of chocolate, he would eat himself, starting with his head. He's the most arrogant left-wing, and I'm going to call him out now, liar. He's lied today about the immigration figures going down. Well, those figures are from last year. So only 6 months of those figures where he's claiming, oh, look, my policies are working. He wasn't even in power. It was Rishi Sunak, and he was useless. And the other 6 months, well, you can't really say that's you, Starmer, because you haven't got your policies going. And then today he made a big fuss about, oh, we're getting rid of 30,000 people, sending them back. Well, we've sent them back already, but you haven't really, have you? They're voluntary, most of them. When are we going to see you tugging away boats as they get to Dover and taking them straight back to Calais? Answer, never. Why? Because you're a human rights lawyer more than anything. But you're a liar. That's what I can't stand, is the way you lie. Today, you've had videos out saying it's all down to you. It isn't. And what I can't understand is, when you do lie, Keir Starmer, why do you lie in such an obvious way? We all know it's bullshit. You're just getting it wrong, mate, on so many levels. There was a short honeymoon period. I think it was a honeymoon shorter than one in EastEnders, really, because some of the press were loving him. They were saying he was a statesman. He was this, he was that. He's going to be so different to Boris Johnson, so different to Liz Truss. Mind you, a lettuce would be, wouldn't it? So different to Sunak when that idiot got soaked in the rain. He didn't want the job anymore. But I'm increasingly getting the feeling Starmer doesn't want it either. But what he's going to do is wreck this country beforehand. Well, how else do you explain that EU surrender deal? How else do you explain that Donald Trump ran rings around him? He didn't get us a good deal, even though he's been bragging he is. What about his coalition of the useless? It's achieved naff all. And also then him, he's got the Midas touch in reverse when it comes to PR. Those poxy videos he puts out and the texts. As you can see, I've had enough of him. 10 months ago, Starmer was untouchable. Now, no one wants to touch him with a barge pole. Well, maybe there's 3 Ukrainians who... Anyway, people are asking if he'll even survive the year. I don't think he will. How do you go from a hero in some people's eyes to a hypocrite so fast? Tell me in the chat, when did you start losing faith in Starmer? Was it the winter fuel allowance? Is it the crime wave? Or is it his EU loving? Write a comment and I'll take some of them now. How about this? Is he a liar? Am I going too far to call him a liar? That's nice on the likes. Keep the likes coming in. Dark Angel says he never... I've got to remember. I get so carried away, I forget. He never answers a question. He blames everyone else for everything. You're right, he does. All of the previous pensioners getting heating allowance. Don't know. Will it be this winter? Don't know. If you announce a change of policy, at least have some semblance of an answer. He does my boxing. I like that, Craig. And Craig's got his picture because now your pictures come up. If you've got a profile picture on your social media site, wherever you're mailing from, it comes up on the screen as well here. Starmer is not finished until the fat lady sings. But let me tell you, she's on the stage and she's already holding that microphone. I've got to agree with you, mate. He's finished. He's absolutely finished. If I had a mortgage, I'd put a bet on now. I would. If you like what I'm talking about, if you want to join in, if you'd like to support me, feel free to donate. You can do it now on YouTube while you're watching. Just press that heart button and donate anything you fancy. It all goes to make these continue and also develop them, get guests on soon as well. And also, you could do it by buying me a coffee. You go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Let's take some more people, shall we? I'll tell you what, you're going mad on the messages. Wait a minute, because I'm going to come to you again in a minute. Denise Deacon, he lies so much, he believes it himself. Yeah, he is like the lad, isn't he? You get the little lad, you go in, he's got chocolate all over his face, right? You go, you bad your hand in the biscuit tin. No, Dad, I haven't. No, it wasn't me. It was my big brother. Bullshit, smack. Somebody needs to do that, metaphorically speaking. Somebody does need to give Starmer a slap because he treats us as if we're thick as mince, and he makes me sick. Hi, John, long time. No listener. What does that mean? New listener, maybe. Starmer will be gone by Christmas, says David Cordingley on Facebook. He will be. I think you are right. Dark Angel says he's a liar, and I don't like his loving for the EU and also Macron. There's something about him, isn't there? What about this story about the 3 Ukrainians wanting to burn his house out? Allegedly, they're going to be up in court in June. I bet you that doesn't even go to trial. I bet they plead guilty or it's dropped. Why aren't the press talking about it? I'll tell you what I think later in the show. Stay tuned. Get him out. We are a country that is finished absolutely. F you know what the rest of that is. And it's getting worse, says Amelia Stone. She's on Facebook. I am glad I'm going out of this world. Going out of this world, so I won't have to see what the hell we will have to put up with Barmy Starmer. Barmy Starmer, I like it. Starmer Barmer. He is useless. Who's telling him what to do? I don't know. Coco the Clown. I can't stand Starmer. Short and sweet. And that's from Anthony on YouTube. Thank you, Anthony. I have never had any belief in anything that Starmer says. He's a liar. Liar. Liar, says Jackie Ward. Thank you for your comments. Is this echoing what you think? Let me have your opinion. So let's go back to then the scandals after scandals. It started almost as soon as he was in power. The £2,500 glasses that Lord Ali bought him. The free designer suits that Lord Ali bought him. And the frocks and the alleged lingerie he bought, Lord Ali, Starmer's wife. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If somebody did that to my wife, I'd punch the bloody lights out, wouldn't you? Isn't that how normal people would react? Doesn't mean there's something going on, but it's odd. Isn't it odd? Then there was the football tickets. Oh no, I'm your supreme leader. I can no longer sit in the posh seats in the stand. I need an executive box for Arsenal. So he's got an executive box at the Arsenal. Why? And then the thing that really stuck in my craw, and it's still there, I can't get my head around it. They all went to see Taylor Swift. Admittedly, he gave back the $4,000 worth of tickets for Taylor Swift after he'd seen the concert and after the scandal. Other cabinet ministers didn't. Why did they want Taylor Swift tickets? They're grown-ups. What's that all about? I'm not having a go at Taylor Swift. It's very odd. And then he starts to make cuts because he talks about this thing about the 24 billion or however much it is, black hole. He blames, I know he said Thatcher, because it is like Ben Elton when he started, when he used to blame Mrs. Thatcher for everything. I mean, how long are they going to go on blaming the Tories? The Tories were bloody useless. We know that. They left the country in a mess. But is the 24 billion a true figure? What do you think? Was he lying from the very first day he got into power? And that Jonathan Reynolds, we didn't know. And then they all came on telly. They'd all had media training. And every time they answered the first question, it was, well, we face this 24 billion pound black hole. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but you got enough money to give to public servants, doctors, nurses. And I see again, they're getting another pay rise. I actually haven't got anything against that. What I'm against is the lies. Then, whilst he was living it large with his free tickets, his free suits, his free glasses, Angela Rayner with her free holidays in New York, the story about Starmer's son, we can't revise at home. There's too much press around. Really? Yeah, so where did he go? He went to revise for his A-levels at Lord Alley's penthouse flat, 16 million in Covent Garden. Yeah, but he was still there after the exams finished. He's the only lad in the world who is so diligent, he revises after he's taken the exam. And we're meant to swallow this bullshit. It's nonsense, isn't it? And then the cuts start coming. Who do I target first? I know. Let's have a go at the pensioners, the older people, the older people with a bit of money. Where should we put the threshold? We'll put it here. Yeah, but if we do that, hundreds of people might die. That's how it seems to be the attitude. And now Angela Rayner in the background, manoeuvring to become the next leader, the next prime minister. Could you imagine that? No, I don't even want to. But she's talking about other cuts, raising income tax. That's what she wants. And don't make out, when Starmer did his reversal yesterday, that wasn't Starmer talking. You do realise that. That's Angela Rayner and her influence on the party. The lefties, the commies, they're coming, let me tell you. Because now they're like rats in a sack. They've effed it up again. Every time Labour is in power, maybe give a slight pass out to Tony Blair, they mess up the economy. Every single time. She was warned that her budget was rubbish. What did she do? The woman who's very good at rewriting CVs, not so good at counting, she just carried on regardless, even though the top economists in the world were telling us she was wrong. Now what happens? She's probably going to get the bullet. She's going to get the blame for what happened yesterday. Angela Rayner has won that particular battle. Starmer had to speak her words. He mumbled it out, but he's going to have to do a U-turn, a massive U-turn, because the other problem is, this is where he's a useless leader. If he was sensible, he'd have briefed the press lobby in the Commons. He would then have gone to Parliament and made a proper stab at it, a proper attempt at telling us what he's up to. But he left more questions than answers. We don't know how much he's going to give back. We don't know when it's going to be given back. And old age pensioners are still worrying their absolute brains out. It's completely and utterly wrong. He's taking the PI and double S. So he's living it large. He must have more air miles than anyone. But mind you, he goes in his private jet, doesn't he? He's been everywhere, strutting the world stage in his bought suits for him and in his posh glasses, thinking he's a world statesman when actually he's just the leader of the bloody useless. It's not just bad optics, this. It's pure contempt for me and you. Pensioners freezing while he's on the Taylor Swift guest list, while he's having a prawn vol-au-vent in his executive box at Arsenal. Who's advising this guy? Who does his PR? Is it Comical Ali, whose last job was with Saddam Hussein? Let me tell you, Starmer's not just politically tone deaf. He's playing a completely different tune entirely. I don't know what game it is, really, unless he wants to be the president of the EU. But the tune he's playing, it's not one the rest of us recognise, or certainly not one we want to hum along to. I like that one, don't you? Anyway, let's have some more comments for you. Where are we? Let me have a look. I can't stand Starmer, says Anthony. Oh, I said that one before. That's straight to the point, isn't it? I've never had any belief in anything that Starmer says. He's a liar, 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 liar. Anthony again, I hope reform can do the job, but honestly, I don't know. I worry about the future. Well, so do I. Nigel Farage is the man, I know that, but he hasn't got really many people around him, has he? So that's a worry. If they suddenly got in power, if this government suddenly collapsed, and they had to go to the country, and reform won, you'd be concerned, wouldn't you? Of course you would. What we got now? No, how did those three young boys know where Starmer's houses were? Says Denise Deacon. Denise Deacon, I'm going to talk about that at the end of this show. But I've had exactly the same thoughts. Exactly the same thoughts. It's bonkers, isn't it? Is anyone going to support me tonight and get a special mention? If you support me with a $5 or something on YouTube, it flashes up on my screen and you'll get a big mention as well. Can you imagine, says Graham Hatton, AOR Guru, is one of my big fans. Can you imagine a world in which no-brained Rayner is the Prime Minister? As if we haven't suffered enough already under Starmer, he says. Scary, scary stuff. I agree. Can I have a house? I am an Irish. I don't know what that means, Anne, but thank you very much indeed for your comment. Oh, that's the other thing as well. He sell out to Europe. He's been telling us it's great because you'll now be able to get to the beach quicker. You'll get through passport control much quicker. Oh, that's a good idea. Give away our sovereignty so I can get on my Lilo and look out for Japanese whaling boats much quicker when I go to Benidorm. It's rubbish. It won't even happen this year. It probably won't happen next year. It's bullshit. That's what it is. Again, from Chief Liar. Sue me if you want, Mr. Starmer. I'd love it. I'd love to be a martyr for you, Starmer, because you make me sick. But I tell you something. We need to know what's going on. What's going on with the arson attack? I can hardly say arson and Starmer in the same line without sniggering. I know it's childish. I do apologise. Let's take some more attitude. So, the Red Wall revolt, the reform surge, where's that coming from? I'll tell you what it is. It's working class betrayal. He kept going on about choice. He kept going on about change during the election. And he also kept going on about working people, looking after working people. I'm a working person. Then when he was asked to define it, he didn't have a bloody clue because he's scared stiff of using the word class, working class. But that's what we are, Starmer, and that's what you'll never be. You don't understand us. You don't understand what our flag means to us. In fact, you'd rather wrap yourself in the white flag, and I bet you've got underpants paid for by Lord Ali with the stars of the EU on it. And you know what you also haven't got here? You haven't got the common touch. You can't talk our language. See, it's weird because Nigel Farage went to public school. Nigel Farage was a banker. I said banker. And just like Donald Trump, they don't come from the working class. But what they've got is a real ability to communicate and know how we're feeling and empathize with that. I don't think Starmer can. I don't think Starmer's ever had to turn the settee upside down like Lisa and I have on numerous occasions and shake the bloody life out of it, hoping a few pence will drop out and so we can buy some. I remember doing this when we had Rosie. When I had nothing, I was right on my uppers, living this right shithole in Coventry. we'd come back from Edinburgh. If you read my book, you'll know the story. And that was the day I got my first job in the radio. After doing that, we went to town, bumped into an old mate of mine, Moz, and he said, they'll have you on the radio, Gaunty, because you're good at talking, right? And that's where it all started. It's where it all started. But that very morning, we were going to walk into town. It wasn't far where we lived at the time because we couldn't afford the bus fare. And we literally shook the settee. Don't laugh at me. We all had lino before we had shag pile. And if you didn't, you're not a proper person. If you've never struggled, if you don't understand what struggle is, get me 50p's worth of liver and try and make it last a couple of days. That's the problem. Starmer's never, ever had that. He's not working class. He hasn't got a clue. And Farage, I don't think he's ever had to turn the settee upside down. But he wouldn't laugh at that image. He would empathise, just like Trump would, and sympathise with it and say, I want to change that for you. And so that's the problem. And then we've got the big thing, haven't we? The two biggest things at the moment, immigration and Europe. But let's talk about immigration for a moment. He's bragging today that he's brought it down. It's not him. It's, if anybody, it's the Tories. But even so, they only brought it down because it was historically so high because of the plonker Boris Johnson and what he did, which was open the doors and let everybody in. No one can claim those figures today as just theirs and as if it was a major success. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. He was going to smash the gangs. As I keep saying, he couldn't smash his own bloody avocado and his toast in the morning when he's having his cafe latte. He's a fraud. He's scared stiff to take them on. And like in this EU surrender deal, he could have said, I'll do all of the things you want me to do, but I want you to work with me completely on smashing the gangs. You've got to take these people back, Mr. Macron. You can't just keep sending them to us. Did he do that? Did he bollocks? Right? Sorry, excuse my language. And then crime. Look at the way that's just out of control. All this thing this week about, let's have knives without sharp ends. Oh, yeah, that's going to stop it. Not. That's a sticking plaster on a severed jugular, if you understand what I mean. What we need is to put money into children's services. And I don't mean giving them a breakfast every morning. I mean finding out where the feral fathers are, helping those single mums, giving those lads, particularly lads, a father figure in their lives. Too many of them haven't got that. That's where we're going wrong. But also then being tough on them. Okay, we'll have some playing fields. We'll play sport. We'll do this. We'll do boxing gyms. The boxing gym taking kids off the street, right, and turning them around. It's a cliche, those films, because it's true. It's like me. I used to play rugby, and Ken Cook, our PE teacher, said, you're only as strong as your weakest link. He was always looking at me at the time. I don't know why. And it's true. That is the case. You've got to give kids a purpose, right? Not Kellogg's cornflakes and some stale milk. Let's be clear now. Starmer hasn't just lost the room. He's lost the street. He's lost the whole bloody neighbourhood. He's lost the country. He said he'd get tough on crime. Oh, yeah. It's about as tough as a blancmange. Is Farage, then, the real opposition now? Just tell me in the comments, yes or no, because I need to know that my opinion is right. Come back to you in a moment. Let's just talk, though, about Starmer. Let's talk about Southport. Let's talk about two-tier justice and double standards in policing. When Starmer called the protesters far-right thugs, that definitely underlined he wasn't prime ministerial material. That was definitely, if he hadn't already signed his own death warrant, that I'm talking politically, metaphorically, that was the day he signed it. He goes up to Southport, he puts a wreath down, someone shouts out, "You're a," and he runs away. Goes back to have a party, evidently, in London. Not before he says they're far-right thugs. And then later on he said, yes, it was all organised. But then the police found out when they actually arrested and when they took the people to court, all the people lived within 11 miles of whichever town they were rioting. It was a spontaneous reaction because we were so fed up. I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning the attacks on refugee hotels at all. Not at all. And Lucy Connolly, what she wrote in that tweet was horrid, really horrid. And I'd have told her to her face if I saw her. However, 3 hours later, after she'd been out, she thought, I've gone a bit over the top there. We all do this in public life. I do it all the time. I think, effing hell, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And then you sit there waiting to see what the reaction is, because what else can you do? But in the end, I mean, I've decided I'm just always going to be honest, which is why I want to talk about the Ukrainians and this whole arson thing at the end of the program. Somebody's got to talk about it, haven't they? Give Dan Wootton his due. He's banging on about it as well. But God, I'm thirsty today. And then we've got the Tommy Robinson effect. See, because if people lose faith in their established political leaders, they'll look elsewhere. And there is a feeling that Lucy Connolly, why is she locked up? And it's out of proportion. So it's not about the tweet now. It's the fact that it's out of proportion, that sentence. It definitely is. They're now talking about not sending people to prison for 12 or 24 months. And she's got 31, I think. But they're not going to do that. And they're going to release a load of people starting tomorrow. Rapists and muggers are going to be released. Lucy Connolly is still in prison. So's Tommy Robinson. I can't see it myself. Can you? Then you got the policing and their double standards, depending on what religion you are, or maybe the colour of your skin. They treat you differently. Now, it was terrible when the police were institutionally racist, and I think they were for a certain time. They were. That was wrong, and that had to change. And there's probably still massive elements of racist police. I say root them out and boot them out. But now we've got to a stage where if you're not a rainbow warrior, you're kind of going to get treated like a piece of shit, aren't you? You really are. So we end up with two-tier justice, two-tier standards, two-tier politics. There's two-tier politics versus the people. If you call people thugs and racists because they disagree with you, Mr. Starmer, that's not leadership. That's dictatorship light, L-I-T-E. So have you seen examples of this yourself? Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Let's just go back and see what you're saying. Am I getting you going yet? Am I getting you going yet? I'm working my socks off here. Mick Frinton and C. Most of reform are real Tories. Oh, sorry. The councillors are experienced in business. Well, we shall see what happens there. I see what you mean. So you reckon there could be some good people. I wish they'd stop going on about reform and the Tories forming an alliance. The Tories are finished as far as I can see. But anyway, Starmer was a Trotskyist when he was at university. I still think he's an extremist, says Robert Becker. I don't know about that, Robert. He's an extreme idiot. That's what he definitely is. Denise Deacon. Let me just illustrate her first. She's just put in £1.99 to the pot. And she says, keep up the good work, John. Thank you, Denise. Every penny helps to keep these going. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Dark Angel, she donated a £5 the other day. I think Denise donated money the other day as well. So thank you both. Dark Angel says he's been coached by Tony Blair. But even Blair doesn't like him anymore. That is true. Blair has started turning against him. That is a very good point indeed. Mick says Starmer was the son of a toolmaker, but his dad owned the factory. Yeah, that's absolutely true. He did. All right. He should never have got into number 10. He got in with lies, says Christine Garcarty on YouTube. Well, this is my whole point. I called him a liar last night, and that's one of those things where I thought, maybe you've gone a bit far there, Gaunty. The stormtroopers will be kicking in your door with their rainbow Doc Martin lace boots and carting you away to the cop shop for daring to say that. They didn't, but there we are. I'd like to be a martyr. What do you reckon, eh? But you just don't know what you can say, what you're allowed to say, what you can't say. It's just terrible what we're living in. Here we go then. Let's talk about his personal life. Let's talk about silence. Let's talk about authenticity. Ever since he got into power, there's been these rumours and then a silence about his private life. Now, you might argue he has a right to a private life like everybody has. Well, yes, but it's kind of a quid pro quo thing, isn't it? when you become the leader of a great country like ours, we do want to know what your domestic setup is. We do want to know if your wife's still living with you and whether you have, what, in rough terms, and I'm using basic terms, you've got a normal relationship, right? And that your kids, what sort of schools they go to, and, we don't need to know the kids' names. I accept that. I can see that. And they deserve a bit of a private life. But the moment you put your child in the center of any political scandal, then it's like fair game, isn't it? Or am I just a horrible tabloid hack? He was the one who said the reason they were around and doing those broadcasts during COVID from Starmer's penthouse flat, £18 million, was because his son couldn't concentrate at home revising because there was all the press outside. Well, that's ridiculous. See, this is the thing with his lies. His lies are so useless. What's going to happen if you say it's all the tabloid papers' fault? Well, they're all going to ring each other up, aren't they? And going to say, have you been harassing him? I've not seen you. No, I haven't done it. No, not me. And then you're just going to make it worse. Then they think, you've got something to hide. You've got some. There's a thing called, I think it was Barbara Streisand. It was a famous person anyway. Some hack in America said, this is Barbara Streisand's house, right? And she was fuming about it, right? And she said, that's not my house. But the moment she said, that's not my house, and went off on a paddy, it gave them free rein to say, oh, we got that wrong. This is the house. And that happens in libel cases an awful lot. People lose it. Well, I just feel that he hadn't got a right to say it was his son's fault. And then, of course, they did. And then the son was still living at Lord Ali's flat. And then people say, well, it's not just him living there. Starmer's living there. And then there were rumours, well, was he living at Lord Ali's flat when he stood for Parliament this time, which would be illegal? That kind of story just disappeared. The story of the suits disappeared as well. I don't know why. The only thing that happened in that whole scandal was he gave back the money for the Taylor Swift tickets. Don't we have a right to know? You see, also, I would say no MPs should be taking freebies. If it's their local theatre in their constituency, of course they should go to the opening nights of shows. I haven't got a problem with that. And I haven't got a problem with them getting free tickets for that. But what I have got a problem with is when this lousy Labour cabinet, all of them, it was like they must have got a charabanc. It was like the day we went to Margate or something with Del Boy. Well, they were Del Boyish, weren't they, at the beginning, this government? Do you not think? They all had tickets for Taylor Swift. I think it's outrageous. Angela Rayner, soon to be our supreme leader. What a wonderful woman. Well, she's the new Maggie Thatcher, isn't she? She got clothes bought for her by not by Keir Starmer, Lord Ali. She also stayed in Lord Ali's flat in New York. It's almost odd. And then, of course, rumours start sniggering. People start sniggering and making up things because, as everybody knows, Lord Ali is a homosexual. So then people start to say, well, what was the sleeping arrangements? Based on nothing, right? I don't know whether he's gay or straight. But why would you open yourself up? And does it matter if he's gay? No. Look at Ted Heath. You don't think Ted Heath was straight, do you? I don't care whether you're gay, straight, whatever. I might have a problem if you're a bloke in a fucking with a cock. I might, but I don't know. No, really. But I don't like people having secret lives because that gets you open to blackmail. I'm not suggesting he has been blackmailed. But how odd. Some of the decisions he's made, when you and I have been going, oh, does he hate our country? Why is he doing that? That's ridiculous. Why is he doing that? That's not what people want. It just makes you wonder. So then we begin to think, is he really one of us? Well, I think we've decided he's not. Most of us. He's not one of us. But he's not somebody who can say, oh, he's a knob and he just hasn't got a clue. It's that we think he's got a secret agenda. We don't know what that agenda is. And then, how odd that a Ukrainian firebombed his house. And then how odd that we have pictures of that guy, and then everybody starts saying, oh, he's a model. And then people immediately move from he's a model to he's a rent boy. I don't know if he's a rent boy. But that's not hardly fair, is it? And if it was wrong to talk about Rudy Cabana, the Southport slayer, then surely it's wrong, some of this coverage. But the government haven't tried to stop it, have they? And then the other chap got arrested at Luton Airport. You literally couldn't make this up. The other one got arrested. And then they were telling us within a couple of hours, he's a model. And then he's a rent boy. Again, I don't know if he is a good-looking fella. Both of them are good-looking fellas, right? I don't know if that means, and just because they're Eastern European, they must be selling their bodies. I don't know. Do you? But you'd think Starmer would say something, or somebody in government would say, stop this. They did it about Axel Rudicabana when 3 little girls were slaughtered. Why have they done it now? Because surely all this gossip about them, especially now they've been arrested and charged, they're both in prison on remand, or 2 of them are, I think the 3rd one is as well now, then it could prejudice any trial, couldn't it? Isn't that the way it's meant to work? So then you think, there's no smoke without fire. So based on absolutely nothing, people are now suggesting all kinds of stuff. I can't see how that's good. And again, it comes back to this thing. If you leave an information vacuum, Mr. Starmer, people will fill it, especially today. I mean, I was proud to work on Fleet Street. It wasn't even in Fleet Street then, but I was proud to be a tabloid hack. I really was. And I think The Sun, and especially in those days, was a brilliant newspaper with brilliant journalists, brilliant photographers, everything. I was proud, really proud. Pinnacle of my career. Not embarrassed to say that. And we had real power. Real power. That power's not there now because that power has transferred to the internet. It's transferred to you lot and the things you can say. And some of the things people have been saying, I've thought, no, that's wrong. But no one seems to have thought about the 2 Ukrainians, the other one's East European. And they're now saying there's more. How many more? What was their connection? And is it fair that these models are being tarnished as whores? I don't know if that's fair, because I don't know if it's true. What do you think? And why isn't anyone worried anything about it? Is it a bit like the Rotherham grooming gangs? Oh, all those girls, they were asking for it. You can't ask for it if you're under the age of consent. Oh, they were prostitutes. All that attitude. Do you see where I'm coming from? Is there an element of that? I haven't really got any sympathy because the Ukrainian. But also, how did they know who to firebomb? I know they got some of it wrong. And somebody said to me on Twitter, oh, it's easy to find out where people live. I don't think it is. I don't think it's as easy as you think it is. I find that all odd. And why fire? Why a fire bomb? Why set fire? I mean, did you see the way the car was burnt out? And why didn't we hear about that before the attack on the house? And why has it been a drip? And what are the mainstream media, the press, the BBC? They've not really covered it. I find it really strange. Really strange. George Galloway, God bless him, he's been banging on about it. Dan Wharton's banging on about it now. But this is why you need the independent media. Not because we're going to, and if you're listening to what I'm saying, I'm not breaking the law anywhere here. But I find it really odd. And then I thought, well, maybe there's a D notice. I asked about this on Twitter. My mates in Fleet Street say, no, there isn't. But is there a D notice? But they have informal ones now where editors are asked, oh, please don't talk about that. Leave it out. We'll give you something else later. But no one's looked into it. Is there not a journalist in the country who wants to know what's been going on? Maybe nothing's been going on. But how odd. And using fire. I mean, I've watched enough episodes of Cracker to understand the symbolism of fire, haven't you? What's our Prime Minister been up to? Or somebody in his inner circle? Why was it targeted very much at him? I mean, unless they'd gone and firebombed Downing Street, it could not have been any closer to him. Former properties owned by the Prime Minister. They probably still thought, well, I think he still does own the one that he's given out to his sister-in-law or wherever it is, whatever balmy excuse there was. And the car, they might still, he might still have that, people. It's horrific. Why the silence? Why the silence? Always remember when I think Farage got caught with a Lithuanian lady of the night, I think she was, or a model. I think she was a model. And the News of the Screws, I think it was the News of the Screws, wrote a story which basically, well, they rang him up and said, well, look, we've got you. You know, we know you've done this, whatever. And so he said, so what's the story? And it was, the story was Nigel Farage slept all night with Lithuanian something, Olga something, 22, 20 something. They got a quote, Mr. Farage, and he said, did you say slept? And they said, yes. He said, I can assure you I didn't sleep. And I just thought that's the best answer to it. No one thinks he's a saint, do they? I just find it odd. What's going on? We have a right to know. And then people saying that Lady Victoria or whatever her name is, who I feel sorry for, is Mrs. Where's she in all this? And then she goes to something and she's got a bit of a face on. She's got the Mardy face on, you know, as the Arctic Monkeys. And then they try to hint there's something going on in their relationship. I think it's awful. Be upfront. Be upfront. Do you want some media advice? If you ever get caught in bed with the whole of St. Albans Cathedral Choir, just confess straight away. Or if not, keep your mouth shut. Never, ever change your position. I don't even know if St. Albans has got it's got an abbey, hasn't it? But you understand my point of view. The public perception, the man is so wounded now. So he's got this odd personal life, which we don't really understand. He's been firebombed. There's a trial in June. They've all been remanded in custody. He locks up a woman with his chumocracy mates for a tweet, which wasn't nice, but come on, she's done enough time now. You'd let her. I thought he'd let her out, or he'd talk to his pals and there'd be an agreement. But then he lies. Did you see that was the other lie? Oh, I don't know the case. The next day, he knew all about the case. It's bullshit. Of course he knew the case. When the riot started to kick off in Southport, he was bricking himself like anybody would. Nobody wants that. And ordinary people understand that. So, as I say, we've got this guy in charge, and then he seems to be acting unilaterally. There was a man today from the Chagos Isles on with Martin Dubney. He made me cry. He was saying, you British, you took it from us in the first place. I know it's complicated. And you booted us out. And now you've let us down again. I mean, this morning when I heard about those two women challenging it, I thought, well done on you ladies. Good stuff. But why is he so keen to get rid of him? Why are we going to get rid of Gibraltar? And the next one will be Northern Ireland. Can't you see what's happening? And we're back in bed with the EU. And then Farage dares to go on holiday a day before Parliament breaks up, and everyone thinks he's the devil incarnate. Weird. Starmer's polish, yes. But do you trust him? People say Farage is no angel, but they'd still rather go for a pint with him. We would ignore, wouldn't we, Starmer in a pub? I judge people by, would I like to have a beer with that guy? Would I find it interesting? And then my next question is, after having that beer with him, would I want to have a beer with him again? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how you judge people, isn't it? Not by the cover, but by the way they drink their pint. There was somebody who came into our family, and they're no longer in it. They drank half pints. A bloke. And I was a bit kind of less reconstructed in those days. And I said, I don't trust that bastard. And he said, why? I said, he drinks halves. He comes down the pub with us, and me and her dad would be having beers, and he'd have half. And she said, why is that? Why don't you trust him? What's wrong with having a half? I said, you just don't do it in mail company. I feel like he's waiting to scurry back here and tell stories about what we've been talking about. What stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays. I don't mean we're doing anything wrong, but you understand what I'm saying? Never trusted him. I'm sounding a bit like Al Murray now, so I'll shut up. But I just feel Starmer doesn't represent us. Can you hit the like button if you agree? If you disagree, hit it as well, because then it all helps these things carry on. Because I just want to have open conversations with you. Absolute open conversations. We have to be careful. You can't, obviously say some things, and I will try and keep you on the straight and narrow as I can. But we're almost living in a police state. The winter fuel allowance for the elderly was talked about yesterday. I'm going to finish in a minute. This is Dark Angel by Gordon Brown. Yeah, because he has their kitchens, doesn't he, in their warehouses. He said it was wrong to do that to the pensioners. Well, Gordon Brown was right about that. On YouTube, Christine Carty, he should have never got in number 10. It was all lies. Starmer's gagged the media, says Neil Pye. Neil, as I say, I've looked into it. I don't think he has. I don't believe there's a super injunction. But the thing with a super injunction, you can't even talk about the fact there's not a super injunction. That's the law. Or there's one in place. You can't. But I don't think there is. I think the media have gagged themselves. I think the media, if you want the absolute truth, the mainstream, lamestream media are petrified that Farage is going to get in. And let me tell you, he is, isn't he? Barring a major disaster, I don't know what it could be, because a sex scandal with Farage, he'd just laugh it off. So what else? And he's getting a bit too old for all that, isn't he? What else could there be that would derail him? I just can't see it. So I think he will be the next Prime Minister. I certainly hope he is, rather than Angela Rayner. Jesus. Anyway, sorry, don't want to use profanities. I do apologise. Starmer should remember that history is watching. In years to come, his name will be uttered in the same breath as Beelzebub. I'm not sure he's that bad, but I take on board what you're saying. Jeff G says the young guys were a gift from Zelensky. Now you're just being a fantasist. You're making that up. Neil Pye says you're still as good as when you were on local radio. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm not sure it was meant to be. Ukrainian young men should be at home doing their bit to fight for their country. I think that's a very good point, Robert Becker on Facebook. If we had honest journalists, hang on a minute, John, not only would he be out, but he'd be out. Yeah, fair point. Most journalists are all right, actually. Most of them. It's the people who control them. I think a lot of people know John, but daren't say for fear of joining Lucy Connolly. No, I don't think a lot of people do know Denise. I think if we were having a drink together, we'd be having a laugh and I'll be telling you some stories, but I wouldn't necessarily believe them. I've got to get this right in my head. We all like a bit of gallows humour, don't we? We all like a laugh and a joke. I don't know. I don't know. We just had a £4.99 from Steve Palmer on YouTube. He's saying, keep it up, John. At my age, I try my hardest, but you never know. It's what I said in a month. Oh, you mean keep up the performance? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Jacko Robinson, I'll have half. Yeah, that's right. What program was that in? Was that in the program with Carl Harman? Was it that one? Which Dex's Midnight Runners did the theme tune to, Kevin Rowland. I'll have half. Can't remember. Somebody will tell me. Ian Berry says Starmer is controlled by Max Sweeney and Labour together. Yeah, I think there's an element of that. Although Max Sweeney is obviously useless as well. Because I think he's the idiot behind these videos that Starmer puts up that just don't hit the mark. They've got every bit in there, every ingredient. It's a bit like cooking with Mary Berry. I'm sure if me and her were in a kitchen, Stop it with your fantasy show. I'm sure if me and her were in a joke, we're in a kitchen together, and she said, "Let's make a Victoria sponge and don't have a soggy bottom, John." I said, "What can you tell from there?" But if I was making a cake, her cake with all the same ingredients, same eggs, just as fresh, her cake would always rise. Mine wouldn't, because she's an expert. It's like Frank Carson used to say to me, "It's not the joke, it's the way I tell them." It's true. He was a nutcase. I did loads of telly with him. What a brilliant bloke he was. When you did a show with him and you're in the green room, afterwards, your ribs were aching, literally aching. There's only one other guy made me laugh as much as him, Stan Boardman. His act, I don't think, was as good. The actual act he did for people, the humans, but off stage, I've been to loads of charity events with bloody funny. Gag after gag after gag after gag. A star, a real star. But then he did that chip shop joke about the bomb in the chip shop, and he never went on telly again. That was kind of cancel culture. Love thy neighbour, says Neil, the guy who had the halves. Robert Becker says, was it Brushstrokes? No, that was the program with Holman in. Great show. Steve Palmer, I just got to say that. Look, there's the $4.99, because I might have lost the saying thank you to him within all the jokes. So I do apologise, Steve, but $4.99 for keeping it up. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel Gordon. See, Nigel, you've becoming a good contributor after starting off as a bit of a twat. But he says, this all reminds me of a program, The Prisoner, Patrick McGee. Yeah, what a great program. Have you ever been there to where they filmed it? They built the whole village. It's called Port Merion or something in Wales. Weird place. Weird. You can stay there now as well. I always wanted to. I won't be doing that now, so I'm skinned. Well, weren't thousands of people having Ukrainians in their homes? Says Tony Kenny. Yes, but I don't think they were then saying, we'll welcome you home with a real fire. You remember that and not the 9 o'clock news? When they talked about the Welsh. Remember the Welsh radicals? They started burning down the English people's cottages, holiday homes. And they did a sketch was come home to a real fire and the cottage is on fire. Sorry. It appeals to me, that kind of humour. Anyway, I've had enough. Thanks for listening to me. Let's keep an eye on what Starmer's up to. I think he's finished, personally. I can't see how he can carry on. I think what he did today with the Che Guitars was a disgrace. I think what he did with the EU the other day was a disgrace. I think what he's going to do to Gibraltar is abhorrent. And I think what he'll eventually do, the sun's shining on me, what he's eventually going to do to Northern Ireland is wrong as well. The sun is shining through my window. Do you see that? It only ever shines on the right. Be good that, John, if you could pronounce the word. The righteous. Anyway, that's me done. Tomorrow's Friday. I don't normally do a show Friday. I might do one during the day. I'll notify you. And the best way to find out if I'm doing extras, right, is to subscribe to YouTube. YouTube is free. Go to Jon Gaunt TV, press the bell or whatever you have to press. And then every time I go to do a broadcast or announce I'm going to do one, you'll know about it. Anyway, so Friday, I'm not doing a show Friday night at 6:30. There definitely won't be on at 6:30. I'm off to the theatre tomorrow with my missus to see much about nothing. Anyway, a comedy. I don't really like the comedies, but this one's meant to be good. It's set in a football Premier League team, I think. So it should be good. So I'm doing that. Monday is bank holiday, but then I'm self-employed, so I'll probably do a show Monday, unless I go to the pub at lunchtime with my mates, although most of my mates are on holiday. All right, then, that's me finished. If you do want to help out, don't forget www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, or do it via YouTube as well. Either way, just help me out, because we're getting there. We're really getting there. Fantastic reaction in terms of the amount of people watching. Loads of likes and all the new likes. That's what we love to see as well. So thank you for that. I shall speak to you probably tomorrow or Saturday, sometime over the weekend, but definitely on Monday. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Have a great bank holiday with your family, and I'll see you next week. All the best. Oh, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.